So, Kevin, I take it your response is a no to the debate invite? Shame. Where in place of duking it out like men while providing people entertainment, you prefer to censor and silence opposition. Reminds me of another dictator. Bro couldn't even wait for me to get my new background up, but this is what children do. They throw tantrums, they cry for mommy, the usual. Nothing really surprising here except that I'm not alone this time. Threat Interactive truly must be crashing out between Kevin's rage-fueled uncomposed last video to now striking not just mine, but multiple creators' videos who challenge his bunk views on game development. The kid truly has the entire industry laughing at him. It'll be funny too in his next video where he'll be sure to mention how he's taking on the haters. Hilarious. To think people still follow this clown proves that the blind do in fact lead the blind. Similarly to when this happened last time, this is merely an updated intro in response to Kevin and his crybaby tactics as a lead into the video that has been removed. The invite still stands, by the way, Kevin. When you've grown a pair and want to talk, I'll be here. Before we dive in, I want to preface this video with a few key notes. Now, I've been sitting on this content for a little over a week now because honestly, it's not really what my channel was designed for. My channel focuses on education and giving back, helping to build the next wave of developers, artists, and industry hopefuls. I've come to the conclusion, though, that sometimes that mission involves addressing misinformation, bad practices, and exposing problematic actors in the field. While this video will focus on Threat Interactive, I've noticed a growing trend of channels spreading misinformation, simply riding the wave of game dev criticism for profit. Take, for instance, this channel where a young creator doesn't even know it's pronounced 343 Industries, not 343 Industries.
Who rebranded 343 Industries as Halo Studios.
What's most disheartening is at their core, I believe these channels are often trying to actually explore important information. But we don't need more kids fueled by AI scripts on this matter. My hopeful is that more developers and industry insiders will join the conversation to provide authentic perspectives, as no one really has all the answers to everything. Now, to the meat of this video. Threat Interactive is back at it again, gaming YouTube's self-appointed optimization guru chasing phantom problems once more, seemingly crashing out as his thumbnails and tone becomes increasingly dark and frustrated. Now before I dive in, let me speak directly to Kevin. The context you're missing isn't technical jargon, it's actual development experience. Now, I wouldn't ask an art major for medical advice, and developers aren't coming to your channel for wisdom. But that's by design, isn't it? After all, your real audience is rage-baited gamers riding the game dev are lazy trend. You've crafted the perfect illusion, making content for angry gamers while convincing them you're educating developers. Your videos are masterfully crafted to upset gamers who don't know what 2MS even means while appearing authoritative. Just enough technical terms to sound legitimate, not enough substance to hold up under scrutiny. Your channel is simply min-maxing gamer grief, that is all. So what's the latest? Going after Linus Tech Tips, Digital Foundry, classic clout chasing. But here's the reality check. Linus does hardware reviews. He's not a game developer. Of course, he doesn't understand engine optimization. He never claimed to. The irony is, neither do you. Yet you're criticizing someone for having the same knowledge gap you have. Interesting. And in regards to Digital Foundry, contrary to what the drones who follow you believe, erupting at any slight against their cowardly leader, Digital Foundry actually are industry insiders who bring on actual experts to talk about actual topics. The reason they haven't invited you is because you are neither an industry insider nor an expert on, well, anything really. And it doesn't even take any more than a LinkedIn search to find your only real professional experience is your own YouTube channel. My advice, stop posting rage-baiting content with super cringy thumbnails and get an education. Now, the optimization misdirection. Your recent optimization video where you thrash Alan Wake reveals how little you think of your audience really. Let me break down the basics that you conveniently obscured. MS stands for milliseconds. For 60 frames per second performance, your entire rendering budget is 16.67 ms. That's it. Every effect, every asset, every shadow has to fit within that budget. The math behind this is actually quite simple. There are 1000 milliseconds in 1 second. If you're looking to hit 60 frames per second, that means you need to simply divide 60 by 1000, which is how we get 16.67. Easy. Now, let's examine the bloated Alan Wake 2 complaints. The biggest issue here is the simple fact that different game engines prioritize and render their worlds differently. And since Alan Wake 2 was developed on Remedy's Northlight engine, not Unreal Engine, it is impossible to say if the numbers here are actually too high or perfectly fine, as you can't just use Unreal Engine as the benchmark for every other engine. And without access to the Northlight engine and running stress tests ourselves, the only thing we can do is circle back to that millisecond number, as that is a universal number. Now, you mentioned how this adds up to about 19 milliseconds as a budget, which would equate to around 53 to 55 frames per second. Yet, immediately after, you show performance that is significantly lower. So, I don't know about you, but the math ain't mathin' here. So, either you're fudging the settings to spin a narrative you want, or they just don't make an abacus like they used to. Additionally, the fact that you speak of Alan Wake and Unreal Engine side by side almost synonymously in direct comparison leads me to believe that you are under the impression that the game is actually using Unreal Engine, as I did not hear you once in your entire video even reference the Northlight engine. I'm not even sure why Alan Wake was your target, as Stalker 2 would have been a much better topic for discussion, but knowing you, you'd probably get those details wrong as well. Now, technical context actually matters. If you had actual development experience, you'd understand this. Alan Wake 2's foliage uses professional assets from a very prominent Unreal Engine asset developer, Maui, whose foliage is well known for its detail. Alan Wake 2 was also developed on Remedy's Northlight engine, not Unreal Engine, meaning it has different developmental constraints, parameters, and workflows. Skeletal mesh substitutions is also standard practice for interactive elements, particularly in more cinematic style games, which is another thing. You never acknowledge the game's cinematic goals or art direction either, factors that dictate optimization priorities for any professional team. Not every game is an open world MMO, Kevin. Not every game is developed on Unreal Engine, and Unreal Engine is not a through line of optimization and workflow techniques across all engines. As an example, even just singling out global illumination here, UE5 uses Lumen. Unity uses probe and baked lighting. And engines like CryEngine, and in this case Northlight, uses a volume-based voxel solution for the global illumination. Even just for this, for the global illumination, you're talking about 3 separate engines with 3 separate workflows and considerations for development and optimizations. Your groundbreaking solution, by the way?
Optimize objects in a regular shadow map.
Oh, fascinating. Revolutionary advice even. I mean, why? Why haven't game devs ever thought of this before? I mean, we are truly in your debt. Except this ignores a few things. I mean, for starters, this is what they already did on Alan Wake, and if we're talking about Unreal Engine, UE5's integrated virtual pipeline actually pushes developers to use features like Nanite and Lumen. Traditional shadow maps also perform worse on Nanite assets, not to mention the entire direction Epic is taking their engine is towards an entirely virtual workflow, and that's really just naming a few things. Now, if you think you know more about creating optimized assets, scenes, settings, and workflows than long-standing industry veterans, if you're such an optimization wizard, show us. No, not by taking 100 overlapping lights and reducing the attenuation radius so the bots who worship you can have their minds blown. No. You claim to be making a game in Unreal Engine. Where are the devlogs demonstrating these miracle techniques? You have an audience. You talk about optimization. Instead of constant criticism and all the doom and gloom, how about you actually show us, oh chosen one, how you are solving these problems in your own game? Let's actually see your miracle solutions in action. You claim to be an educator. Educate us. Show us. But your silence speaks volumes. And the simple fact is, winners win, and talk is cheap. Loser. None of this even accounts also for the glaring fact that if you want to use traditional development methods, barring Epic's more virtual process, there is an easy solution. Don't use it. Use Unity, CryEngine, Godot, go back to using Unreal Engine 4 even, every other engine than Unreal Engine 5. What Unreal Engine 5 excels at are cinematic games with real-time GI because of Nanite and Lumen. But I wouldn't expect an amateur to know that, so I can't really fault you for that. Perhaps most telling in your Alan Wake video is you ran the game on medium settings while complaining about high-end features such as these shadows and volumetric effects. Any developer knows the massive difference between medium and high. It's not a subtle tweak, but a fundamental quality shift. But once again, you mislead, misrepresent, all in order to fuel gamer rage and grow your audience. Which brings me to another point. How's that branch of Unreal Engine you're allegedly making going? You know, the one you're seeking close to $1 million to create, the one you started raising funds for over a year ago? I hear your biggest critics are sometimes graphics programmers, the same people you're asking help from to develop your snake oil, so I wonder why that is. You and your glazers might think I'm singling you out, but I would argue this is exactly the kind of response your video actually pulls in, and actually the kind it needs. You're highly critical of others, but can't stand against a contrary view, which is why you deleted your Discord after my first video. You shrink at the first sign of a challenge, then turn around and talk tough in your videos as all cowards do. Which is a real shame, as a simple discourse could iron this all out. So as you call out other channels, here I am calling you out. But I want to give you a fair shake, which is why I'm extending an open invitation. Let's debate game development, optimization, all things Unreal Engine, and let's do it live. You keep begging other channels to give you the time of day, your drones posting on Asmon's subreddit hoping for another crumb of a shout out. Well, for better or worse, I'm here. And I'll help you out, Kevin. No editing tricks, no deleted comments. We can have an open chat and answer people's questions live, as well as each other's. And who knows, we might even find some common ground in the process. Just two industry insiders discussing optimization techniques. Except only one of us actually works in the industry. You like to end your videos with tough talk about how you're taking on the haters. Well, here I am, your most outspoken critic. You gonna strike this video and keep talking about it? Turn your comments off again on Twitter? Delete your Discord once again? Maybe punch a hole in the wall, Kevin? Or are you gonna stand on your own 2 feet? Now, real experts welcome challenges. They don't hide from them. I've spent my career, for example, proving people wrong through action, not hiding opposing viewpoints. The industry doesn't need another self-appointed expert feeding misinformation to angry gamers. It needs honesty, experience, and constructive criticism. Games aren't perfect. Neither are developers. Sometimes mistakes are made, and sometimes those mistakes do deserve to be punished. But not by you. I'd hold my breath, but as I've heard from your own community, you're not too keen on opposition. Perhaps that's why your mods left you. No one respects a dictator, Kevin, especially one without the experience or know-how to lead. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And to Threat Interactive, to Kevin, hope to hear from you soon, buddy.